Hey folks, Little John. Time for a 5 on Friday. Getting a little bit of help from McWilliams Hamwood Tawny Port. Diving into the cupboard and pulling a bottle of dust off. There's no new whiskies around at the moment, so I did pick up a bottle of Johnny Walker Double Black yesterday at Woolworths. $15 off it was. Now, you know, I'm more of a bourbon drinker than Scotch, but the wife absolutely loves the Johnny Walker Double Black, and her old bottle's got about yay much in the bottom. So I told her I'd keep an eye out for it. Grab a bottle when it went on sale, and bingo, yesterday she's on sale. So I'm gonna start drinking port just for something different today. So anyway, so cheers to anyone who enjoys a little bit of a port here and there. What I want to have a chat about today is just a general discussion about things that we do as brewers, steps we take, processes we put in place to improve our beer. I know I've touched all different areas throughout the videos on the channel. But I'm really looking at today it comes from a question I was asked recently. Someone asked me about whether when I first started brewing, whether my first brews, whether I was happy with them. And also, what did I find was the most important thing that I did initially to improve my beers. So I had to go back. I've had to go back and find my old notes and just have a look at those first couple of brews. Now I can remember it pretty well, despite the fact that it turns out it was 23 years ago. I think top of my head, I think it was March 97 was the first batch of home brew that I made. I've still got me notes from that. So I went back and had a look at those early brews, and having a look and looking at the sort of notes I'd taken and sort of just thinking back to, what they were really like, and made an interesting discovery when doing that. That just as I do now with a lot of experimenting and playing around with different ingredients and whatnot, those early brews, I was very quickly went into just expanding a little bit, not just using just simple sugar. Yes, I was using white sugar and raw sugar and the basics that you did back in the 90s. But a lot of those early brews, I was using malts. I was using, I was even using some grains. To make different flavours. So I'd already started to put some different ingredients in. So I was sort of thinking, okay, well that's not really a process. That's like I put in the response to this comment. The ingredients themselves aren't really aren't the process. You've got to start with the ingredients and then have the steps in place to make sure you get the best out of that. So from the context of what are those things that you do that are going to make your beer better, initially is you've got to have the right ingredients. Simply decent quality ingredients, fresh, well looked after, yeah, and stuff that's going to do the job. So I'm talking, buying decent kits. I've done the home brand kits, I've done the cheapo kits, and yeah, they don't work. I've got videos are there on the channel of the cheap beers, doing the cheap beers. They're bloody terrible. I know there's plenty of brewers out there that make them, really enjoy them. I just don't see how. I've never had them, but anyway. Use good quality kits. Stick with kits you like. If you find use a kit and it doesn't work, don't use it again. That kit's not working for you. But good quality kits, good ingredients, malt, dextrose, not sugar. Not using table sugar, white sugar, raw sugar and stuff. For the most part, malt and dextrose. Start there, and then work in. So, for me, those next progressive steps are what takes your beer into new levels. Takes it from being just average to better to good, to really good, to pushing to some really sensational type beers that you can make at home yourself quite easily. But there's a whole bunch of different steps that you need to, and things you need to be doing to get from point A to point Z. A to B, simple. One step at a go, no problem. To get right through the whole range and get right up to where you're knocking out quality beers all the time, there's multiple things involved. Now, I've got videos on all the different things, and explaining what they are, what they do, and how to do the processes. But for a lot of brewers, the only option, you only really got one or two things that you can implement into your brewing, or particularly when you're starting, and it's like, okay, well, what do you do first? What's the most important thing? What's going to get me the best result? Bang for buck. What's going to get me the best result for the, for the cheapest? Not even necessarily the cheapest. What's going to get me the best result that I can get into my brews? And for me, and I've said it since I first started working with it, and that is temperature control. Now, going back to these brews 23 years ago, it surprised me when I was reading my notes that most of those brews were done at reasonable temperatures. Some were done in really good temperatures. And I don't know whether that's a bit of good luck or a bit of good management on my part. I'm not really sure. I do remember just using the laundry at the back. We lived in the flat and there was a laundry out the back, and it held a reasonably steady-ish temperature. I do recall patches where I had to use a little heater to keep the temperature up a little bit during the cooler months. But at that point we lived in Wollongong down, but we lived by the beach in Bulli, and temperature was fairly good. So I was looking at those brews, and most of the brews were done in the very low 20s. At worst, and a lot were in the high teens, 17, 18, 19 degrees, and a batch or two that were even done at 15 or 16. I know one of my brother still raised on about that one brew I did, which was done cold, was done at 15 or 16 degrees. It was a Black Rock lager by memory. And he still raves to this day about how good that beer itself was. And I think back, and it was a good beer for what it was. So even then, without realising it, those temperatures were super important, and it clearly had an effect on the beer. So for me, fast forwarding to, what 9 and a bit years ago when I restarted brewing, and a little bit of study and reading and research led me to temperature control being vitally important. And that was the first point where my beers really took a step up. I'd started off again using different ingredients, and I was starting to steep grains and stuff like that. I was doing the right things ingredient wise, but I was still just brewing on the bench here in the garage, and the temperatures fluctuated, so I did brews in here anywhere from 13 or 14 degrees up to 28, 30 degrees. I'm doing a saison in here early on at 30 degrees because I just couldn't get the temperature. That's the temperature it was. So I had to use a saison. So those early brews weren't, the ingredients were giving me a decent base, but I wasn't able to take advantage of it by keeping the yeast in a nice happy place. When I went out and bought a fridge. I've got a second. I don't think I bought. I think it would have come from me mum. It was just a second-hand fridge. I think she just wanted it gone from wherever it was. So I said, I'll take it and put it in the garage. And I was just running it initially off just a 24-hour timer, and just had it coming on for short periods of time during the day. And that was keeping me in a reasonably good, sort of comfortable range. It certainly wasn't as good as a dedicated temp controller, but I was keeping that fridge and the brew in a reasonable range. And my beers become noticeably better immediately. I started telling guys at work and other fellas around the place, you got to get on this bloody, you got to start fermenting in the fridge, and doing this is so much better. It didn't take me too long after that, probably about maybe 6 or 9 months of playing around with this temperature, with this bloody dial control. I went, nah, and I went out and I actually bought an STC and wired it up. Managed to not burn the house down or electrocute myself. And that STC still runs my ferment fridge. So it's probably now 7 years old. Still running away, no problem. And again, taking just that little extra step into that fully controlled, the beer got even better again, more consistent. So for me, there's no doubt that the most important, the first step that you've got to take as a brewer is you've got to get your fermentation temperature under control. If initially that means like finding a place in the house, a particular room, a laundry, somewhere under the house that holds a reasonably steady temperature, then use that. Or get a fridge. If you can't get a fridge, you find that temperature space. That's going to depend a lot on where you live and whether you can get an area that is reasonably stable. I know there's plenty of guys that have nice pockets in their house will sit between 17 and 21 degrees all year round, no matter what. That's beautiful for fermenting in. That's great. if you're getting outside of that range, then you need to look at something more dedicated. You do need to go for a fridge with an actual controller. And you know, just like now, it's just so cheap. Fridges, you know, $100. You can get a fridge $100 any day of the week, anywhere in the country. You know, buy, swap and sell, Gumtree, eBay. They're absolutely everywhere. 9 years ago when I started, you were still paying $400 for a second-hand fridge. You know, $300, $200 for a cheapo. You know, for a really rubbish cheapo fridge. For the most part, you paid $300 and $400. Now you get it for $50, $20. People are, you know, are practically giving fridges away when they buy a new one. So in a lot of cases, for $100 you can get a fridge and you can get a temp controller. Now, I don't necessarily recommend putting an STC together yourself unless you're fairly confident. It is a cheaper way of doing it, but an Inkbird, you know, ITC 308 or whatever the model is, plug and play. It's simple. They're generally about $50 delivered. So for $100 you can get a fridge and a temp controller, and away you go. And your beer's going to be so much better for it. And if you're combining that, as I said, with just some decent ingredients and a little bit of, you know, putting a little bit of knowledge into your yeast and actually making a little bit of effort to either have a bigger quantity, whether that's dry packets or making starters or just doing good rehydrations. Simple, quality ingredients, temperature controller, bang. Your beer, for me, on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 absolute rubbish to 100 being the best you can do, just by doing those couple of things, the good ingredients, your yeast and the temperature controller, you're 70% of the way to that 100% beer. Easily 70% of the way. It is such a big factor. Yeast and temperature are massive. Yeah. There's other, you know, there's other steps you can take. You can then add on to finish off the process to get that last 30%. Yeah, and then that's when you start looking at fermentation profiles and actual different yeast, using the right yeast for ingredients, and actually looking at the range of ingredients you're actually using, you know, and the methods, whether it be, you know, going to all grain or extract and things like that. But a little bit of knowledge with some decent stuff up front, doing the right steps, good temperature control, you're a good whack of the way there. And for most brewers, that's going to be all they ever need to do. Most brewers are going to be happy to go out there. I'm absolutely stoked with the beer I'm getting at that point, without going into any more detail, without having to worry too much about, you know, calculations and the intricacies of different yeasts, if they didn't want to. The reality is you can make most beers with a couple of simple packet yeast, with US-05, with an SO4, a Nottingham, yeah, and a basic, yeah, a German ale yeast, yeah, dry, a saison or a wheat yeast, yeah, which you can get easily and readily. Then you don't, you know, if you don't want to go any further, you don't need to. That's going to get you good beers. So that's it for me. Single biggest thing, most important thing for making a good quality beer is having that temperature control. If you haven't got it, get into it. Find some way of doing it. Okay. If you've got any questions about it, ask way down the bottom. Go back and check the videos. There's videos on temperature control. There's videos on fermentation profile. You know, all that sort of stuff. It's all yeast. It's all there. All that little stuff. But the big one, temp control. That's it. If you just want to ask away, no problem at all. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the subscribe button down there. Come along, join us. There's always plenty of information and things to learn. If you'd like to join the Patreons, cheers guys. Get a little bit extra out of Little John and contribute a little bit back. Hit the link down the bottom of the Patreon and have a look at it. But other than that, Little John's done. Gonna finish off me sweet creamy port here and go and have some lunch. That's me, gone. So till I see you again, we're drinking beer, brewing beer, or talking beer, good brewing.